It's tea time.
Life is too short to be drinking shitty beer.
Welcome to another edition of Bands, Bikes and Booze Reviews. Oh, it's so hot out now, and I've just been working in the studio. I've managed to get all the insulation done. I am covered in shit. I need a shower and I'm absolutely knackered. So I thought before I get in the shower I will have some of this stuff, and this is the Hogsback Brewery T.E.A. Now, I thought I'd reviewed this earlier in the year, not this year, last year on the channel, but apparently I haven't. So I got some of this yesterday in Marks and Spencer's, and it's a beer that's quite widely available down here, and it hails from Surrey, which is the next county along. Most boring county in Britain. That's my take on it. My sister lives there. I know Surrey. It really ain't for the likes of a rough bloke like me. It's quite posh down there. I know there may be some rough parts of it, but yeah, it's not really my thing. Do you know what I mean? There's certain counties you get a certain vibe off. Essex definitely ain't for me. Surrey definitely ain't for me. Kent I love. I absolutely love it. It's got everything. It's got the history. It's got a fucking great bike scene, good music scene, and a great beer scene. And as far as I'm concerned, that's the county for me. Even though I'm a Londoner, born and bred, I've only been here about, lived here 4 years. Yeah, 4 years I lived here now. And believe me, that was a step up, moving out of London. I thought I'd be there for life, but I met the missus and all that. She lived here. She wasn't moving to London. Quite frankly, don't blame her. All her family around here and all that. So I moved out here. And the rest, they say, is history. Still go to London every now and again. Still got a lot of mates there. Still go to football every now and again. That's really hasn't got the appeal that it has. But anyway, let's get back to the beer. Enough about my life. This is from the Hogsback Brewery, and they're based in a place called Tongham, which is in Surrey, and they've been going since 1992. And this is their flagship beer. And as I say, I've seen it in quite a few supermarkets around here. I'm not sure if you're a viewer or a subscriber from up north and you're looking at this, you may not find this up in your neck of the woods. It's quite popular though. I have seen it in pubs in London on draft, and the T is actually an acronym, and it stands for Typical English Ale. But this is a best bitter, which you could argue is a typical English ale, and it's got quite an interesting history. Now, they've been going since 1992, and this was the first beer that they brewed, and this is their flagship beer, as they say. They're based in a region that was the hop growing region of Surrey, and they do grow hops in Surrey, and Tongham was around there, and the brewery is actually based on some old farm buildings, and where they are based physically was at one point a place where they stored pigs, hence the name Hogsback. That's where that comes from. And as I say, they've been going since 1992, and this was the first beer they brewed. Now originally, if you look here, I don't know whether it's doing this in the next section or doing it in this section, but I'm going to do it in this section because this is quite interesting. It says 100% I'll start again. 100% Surrey grown Fuggles hops, right? Originally, so this is a single hop bitter, right? Originally had 2 hops in there, and that was the other hops they had was golden hops, and they entered a competition in 1997, and it was for a single hopped beer, so they dropped the goldings, and in their opinion they said that it tasted even nicer. Now, I never tasted it with the Fuggles, I never tasted it with the Goldings hops. Let me just put a disclaimer out. I've had a couple of Westmails, so I may be fucking stuttering a little bit, alright? But it was entered for a competition. They dropped the Goldings and they just went with the Fuggles, and apparently it tasted nicer. So they've left it as is. So this has definitely had a recipe change. So if you've had this in the early 90s, it's probably going to, and not had it since, you're probably going to notice a bit of a difference in flavour. But it looks quite good. And I have tasted this in the past, a long time ago. It wasn't before 1997, I'll tell you that. It was about, well, it was since I moved down here. Or was it? Did my sister get me some of this? I can't remember. Anyway, enough about that. Memory's gone. Let's investigate it, see what's going on. Right, this is a 500ml bottle. It is a 4.2% beer, so, or 4.2% bitter, so it is perfectly sessionable. On the side it says a full body bitter. Tea is brewed in small batches using finest English malt, carefully balanced with Fuggles hops. Gentle fermentation leaves some of the natural malt sugars to deliver a subtle hint of sweetness for satisfying flavour and long finish. Right, okay, so there is some sugar in that. They reckon it's naturally occurring sugar. I tried the Czech Pilsner, Marks & Spencer's Czech Pilsner, the other night, and it was very sweet. And I didn't look at the ingredients before I tried it, and then after the review I kept saying this is a bit too sweet for a Pilsner, and then afterwards I looked at the ingredients and they'd added sugar, and quite frankly I was disgusted. And it says a classic multi-award winning traditional ale, affectionately known as tea, when we first started brewing it 25 years ago. Yeah, that competition that they went into was the Great British Beer Festival. Now, that is a festival that I have been going to for quite a few years now. I think the first one I went to must have been almost 20 years ago. They used to have it in Olympia. Now, that's how old it was. Olympia's gone now, in West Kensington in London, and it was great. It's basically a day on the piss where you get to try some fantastic beers, some off-the-wall beers, some bad beers, and meet up with like-minded pissheads. I mean, ale aficionados. That was probably right the first time. What does it say? All our Fuggles hops are grown locally here in Surrey, either in our own hop... Oh, that's interesting. They've got their own hop garden. Or 4 miles away on the other side of the Hogsback. And whilst we enjoy the beer, local hops enjoy... local hogs, I should say, enjoy the spent grain. That seems to be a trend now, brewers, and I think it's brilliant. So this is not me knocking it at all. This is me actually praising it. Where they've got the spent grain from the mash and everything, and you know, it's not wasted. They give it away as animal feed. Brilliant. It's perfect. You know, no waste. Excellent. Yeah. So actually, I think the Hogsback is a range of hills near Tongham, not because it had some pig. Well, probably because it had some pigs in here, but the Hogsback, I think, is a range of hills in Surrey. Is it on the South Downs? I don't fucking know. Outside London. Do you know what? People talk to me about Kent, and they say, "Oh yeah, you know such and such a place." I've been here 3 years, 4 years. I haven't got a fucking clue. Outside of my little locality, I am fucking lost. I got lost coming back from the supermarket once when I first moved here, and it was very traumatic. I was like a little kid who'd shat my pants and wanted to go home. That's that's my life. Let's get it open. Let's see what's going on. Right. Now, this is going to be the last beer of the day because I'm off to York tomorrow. So if you never hear from me again, you'll know that Jeff Boycott has put a fatwa out on me. There is the cap. Let me get my boat out of the way and you might be able to see the cap. It's the Hogsback cap. And they do other beers as well. And I've just remembered I forgot to put the fucking mic on. This is what happens when you get old and stupid. Right, let's get it in the glass. Now, supposedly this is brewed in small batches, so it should taste half decent. But the proof is in the tasting. What are we getting on the nose? Wow, that does really have some hop character in there, I will say that. Very herbal, grassy, earthy notes. And you know what? There is, I don't know whether it's my imagination or whether it's subliminal advertising, but I can get some tea aromas from that. It really does smell of tea, which is not bad because I love tea. I cannot, well, not that I can't stand coffee. I'll drink it as a last resort, but I'm a tea man myself.
The entire British Empire was built on cups of tea. And if you think I'm going to war without one, mate, you're mistaken.
Definitely got some tea aromas coming from there. Quite earthy, herbal, grass, and there's that green apple, nice green apple, orchard, fruit style aroma. And some malt as well. Oh, it smells really good, and it smells like a typical bitter. Now it's chilled. Maybe I should have let it cool, warm up a little bit more, cool down a little bit more. That's what it looks like in the glass. It's like a dark amber. Head's dissipated. It doesn't smell bad though. Oh look, there's some caramel malt coming through down there as well. Smells really good. Let's see what it tastes like. Good Elf. Oh yeah, that's good. That's really good. Yeah, I like this. Wow, lots of caramel malt and that sweet caramel, but nice bitter notes, hoppy bitter notes on the finish. Some nice earthy pepper style bitterness, and it makes it a really nice beer. Oh, that is good. It's really nice. That is a beautiful English bitter. Now, I don't know about you, but there's beers that pass themselves off as bitter, and you taste it and you think, it ain't really bitter. Bitter is the giveaway. It should have some big English hop character on the finish, but coupled with some nice caramel malt. Occasionally you get some toffee malt on it as well. But that's what you're looking for. You're looking for that bitter finish. And that's got it. And it's really good and it's well balanced. And they weren't joking about the sweet caramel malt on the palate. And then that lovely bitter fuggles finish on the end. Oh, it's really nice. And it's very Moorish as well. Oh, it's really good. Yeah, that's impressive. Now, not everybody is a fan of bitter. But if you're a fan of bitter, you're going to love this because it's got everything I think a good English bitter should have. Very well balanced. Nice mouthfeel as well. There was a little alarm bell ringing when the head dissipated so quickly and there was quite a lot of carbonation. But it's good. Believe me, that flavour just really does stand out on it. Oh, that is really good, yeah. I am loving that. Some real hop character on that too. Now, what is the date on that? Because it does taste quite fresh. And I don't think there is a date on it. Nope. but to me that just tastes brilliant. I really like that. You can't compare this with beers like, for example, London Pride, or some of them amber beers, them British amber beers. This is a typical English bitter, and it's a very good one at that. Now, the county, it's brooding, maybe boring, but this beer definitely isn't. So what's the verdict on Hogsback Tea? Well, do you know what? I have tried this quite a few years ago, and I haven't tried it since. And I've seen it on shelves, I've seen it in supermarkets around here, and I've always avoided it for no particular reason. I just thought there was better beers to be trying. But this has turned out to be an absolutely fantastic bitter, and I would go as far as to say it's one of the best bitters I've tasted this year. Oh, it's really good. That is superb. And it's a disgrace on my behalf that I have not reviewed this earlier, because I really was missing out. It's fantastic. I'm going to give that a 10 out of 10, and I can see why that won awards, especially at the British Beer Festival, because you get the best of the best brewers going to that, or you did do, especially back then in the late 90s. That really was a prestigious event to go to, and to win something as well, because certainly in that category, because the competition would be so stiff, and I can see why it's won awards, and I can see why they went to a single hop. You really do. If you want to try a beer, now I've said this about Challenger hops with the Coniston Brewery Bluebird, that's just brewed with Challenger. That's a single hop bitter, and Challenger's a great hop, don't get me wrong. It really is a typical English hop. It's got the nice bitter aftertaste on it. It's got the earthiness, the spice, and some slight fruit on it as well, but it's mainly that spicy note that it's got on it. The Fuggles that are in here really do stand out. So if you want to get a taste of what Fuggles hops taste like on their own, and see why they are so popular in English dark beers, then I would recommend you try this, because you really do get the full flavour of the Fuggles hops. It really does stand out, and it's really good. I tell you something, this is a 10 out of 10 all day long. It really is. And I am going to be buying some more of this stuff, and I cannot believe that I have just ignored this. The clue was on the front. I am a massive tea drinker. If I'm not drinking beer, I'm drinking tea. That's what I do. Traditional English ale. I mean, that is my thing. So yeah, my bad, as they say in the United States. But that is a 10 out of 10 all day long. If you live in the south, especially around Surrey, Kent, maybe even Sussex, you'll be able to get that. I'm not sure how easy it is to get this up north. If you can see it online, or you want to buy it direct from the brewer, and you're a big fan of bitter, I'd say get some, because it is really good. That is a fantastic bitter. I don't think it's as good as some of the Elgood stuff, which for me is my favourite brewery of the year so far, English brewery of the year. But this is a good one, and it's definitely going to get a mention in the New Year's honours list that I do. So yeah, 10 out of 10, recommended. And remember, beer is working class champagne.